Hello, and welcome to this presentation, Getting Started with the LMG600 Energy Menu. In this presentation, we'll explain how to configure and use the energy measurement feature on LMG600 series precision power analyzers. This presentation assumes a basic understanding of how electrical energy is measured, common units when measuring electrical energy, as well as a basic understanding of power factor and the difference between active, reactive, and apparent power. If you're not familiar with these topics, or if you'd like a brief review, you might want to watch the presentation Understanding Power Factor and/or the presentation Understanding Electrical Energy Measurements before beginning this presentation. The Energy menu is accessed using the Energy button on the front panel of the LMG. This menu is used to make cumulative energy measurements over a user-defined time period, that is, values in units of watt-hours and related quantities. These values are reported either continuously or after a user-defined number of seconds. The LMG supports independent simultaneous energy measurement for each configured group, and the sum of the values in each group can also be easily displayed. In the remainder of this presentation, we'll go step by step through how to configure and use the energy menu functions. Let's start with the configuration settings on the right side of the screen. Phase channel is used to define which phase and channel are to be measured, and mode determines how measurements are started and stopped. In manual mode, the energy measurement or integration is controlled using the start and stop buttons. This is also true if mode is set to external, but in this case, an external signal must be present at the sync interface on the rear of the LMG before the energy measurement can be started. It's also possible to enter start and stop dates and times to schedule the measurement. We'll show how this is done on the next slide. The Values field controls whether only a basic set of values or the full set of values is displayed. By default, these values are displayed continuously, once per measurement cycle, but as we mentioned earlier, these values can also be reported at user-defined intervals as well. The Reset button is used to clear all accumulated values and start again from zero. There are also two less commonly used parameters. Bandwidth can be set to narrow or wide when applicable, and for three-phase systems, transform is used to select the transformation type for a star-delta transformation. The Settings tab is used to define additional parameters for the manual and scheduled measurement modes. This is where we define the start and stop times and dates when mode is set to Scheduler. Interval duration is also configured here. If the interval duration is non-zero, energy values will only be reported at the end of each interval. For example, if interval were set to 5 seconds, the results would only be updated at the end of every 5-second interval. In addition, the number of counted intervals will also be displayed. Let's look at an example of using intervals. If we set the interval duration to 5 seconds, this means that the measured energy values will only be updated every 5 seconds. When intervals are being used, the count of the measured intervals, enint, is also shown. Here we see that this count is 24, and therefore the total measurement time is 24 times 5, or 120 seconds. With regards to the measured values themselves, there are two ways in which these can be displayed. The Few display shows only the most important quantities, namely active energy, reactive energy, and apparent energy. In addition, the value for small q, charge, is also computed and displayed. And as mentioned on the previous slides, the elapsed measurement time is displayed, along with the interval count if interval measurements are being used. It's worth noting that the relationship between active, reactive, and apparent energy is similar to that for power. That is, apparent energy is the square root of the sum of the squares of active and reactive energy. Power values are some of the additional quantities shown when many values is enabled. Here we see instantaneous values of active power, reactive power, and apparent power. The Many view also displays the average values of powers over the integration time, that is, averaged active, averaged reactive, and averaged apparent power. Note that the values of instantaneous and averaged power will be similar when a load consumes power at a steady rate, but will differ when the load power consumption is more variable. Until now, we've looked at single-phase measurements, but the LMG also supports making energy measurements on multi-phase systems. In this example, Group 1 has 3 phases, and the values for each phase can be viewed individually, that is, per phase, or they can all be viewed together by choosing All under Phase Channel. When viewing all of the values together, the Call-Sum column displays the sum of values for all of the phases in the given group. Another way of viewing the sum values for a group is by going to the Sums tab. As with other measurements, the sum values can be displayed in both few and many formats. As we can see here, the values from the Call-Sum column match the values shown under the Sums tab. Let's end with a brief summary. The Energy menu on LMG600 series precision power analyzers is used to both configure energy measurements as well as to view the results. These measurements are made over a user-defined period of time, either by manually starting and stopping the integration, or by scheduling dates and times between which this integration should be done. Results are normally reported continuously, but they can also be displayed at user-specified intervals. The display can be toggled between only displaying the most important values or displaying the full set of results, and these values are also reported per group. And finally, note that the LMG also supports multi-phase energy measurements, with values either being reported per phase or as the sum of values for all phases. This concludes our presentation, getting started with the LMG600 Energy menu. If you'd like to learn more about energy measurements, other power measurements, or about power analysis solutions from Rohde and Schwarz, please see the links in the video description. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit us at rohde-schwarz.com.